this video I would like to speak about my baby and my experience with her through our last 2 years. Chances are I will have to sell her within the following months, and I wanted to use this chance just to sum up our history, just tell you what I've experienced with her, what problems I had, what modifications I did to the car, and overall sum up if that was a good purchase and if you still should buy one of these. So let's start with the specs. It's 2015 Mustang Ecoboost. Originally it had 314 horsepower, but actually when you get one of these you will not get this result. They're closer to 280. However, after all of the modifications I've done, and I've invested in a total about $1,500 to $2,000 in her. After all of the modifications, right now it gives about 360, 370 horsepower if you use premium quality gas. Why would anyone want to buy this car? You will definitely hear online about all of this fuss that GT is much better. If you buy Ecoboost, then you just can't afford the GT1, GT is the true Mustang, etc, etc. For me, Mustang is more like an idea. So I always wanted to buy this car, and if you want to buy a Mustang, it's not like you compare like Mustang, Camaro or something else or BMW to all of that. If you want a Mustang, you buy a Mustang. There is nothing over that. Ecoboost is completely different car. Ecoboost is a car for a city. So this car will definitely get you ahead of 95% of all of the cars on lights. So you will be able to start first almost always. And it's true even with the Mustang GTs. I raced some of the Mustang GTs, and when you start with the Ecoboost because of the turbo, most likely in 80% of the cases you will be ahead the first several hundred meters, but after that you will definitely get knocked off. However, with MPG that this car offers, with the smoothness of the ride, with the easiness of everyday drive, so you don't hear all of this rumble from the engine as you would get in GT, and this car definitely wins. Will you be able to start on the light? Yes, you will be able. It's a fast car. It's still a very fast car. It's faster than, again, 90-95% of the cars that you will meet on the street. There is always faster car. If you have the one main car that you drive every day, like family car or something like that, and you want to be like the fastest guy on the streets and you can afford a second car that will be dedicated just to sport, go with the Mustang GT. Don't buy Ecoboost, you will be disappointed. But if you want everyday car that will give you the enjoyment each time you sit in that, each time you hear this sound, each time you can start somewhere, go with the Ecoboost. It definitely was that. So to give you even more context, this is my first car. I always wanted Mustang to be my first car. I never considered any other car. Again, this is most likely because I work from home and I don't have to own a car every day. So if that would be the situation, I most likely would buy something cheap and just drive that. But as the first car, I always wanted a Mustang. And as you understand, I faced a lot of disagreement from my family and friends. So you will hear stuff like, never buy this thing, the MPG is horrible, you will work just for gas on this thing, everything breaks, it's a cheap Ford, so the quality is awful, you won't be able to sell this car, you will crash it, etc, etc. You will hear a lot of that. Is anything from that true? No. I didn't crash it. 6th gen Mustang have much better suspension and they're much safer than the previous generation. MPG on this thing is fine unless you drive like you stole it, and sometimes, usually it's a case for me, like my wife drives it and our MPGs are like completely different. This is a very liquid car as well, so you will see that usually people sell these cars by the end of the summer, so for a lot of folks 35 plus who wanted a Mustang but never bought it, and right now they've received some extra cash and they want some toy, they will buy it, drive it for 5-6 months and sell them. And you will see them over and over, so you will be able to sell this thing whenever you want. And the last point is regarding that it's a Ford, it's a cheap Ford, right? There are perks to that. A lot of parts from other Fords, they applicable here as well. So if you will actually start to like fixing that or something like that, you will find yourself that you can actually replace a lot of stuff from other models of the Ford. So how I bought this car? When I had some money saved, and I'm talking about $10,000 I would say, I started looking into the market and starting looking into these things. I really believe in the law of attraction, so what I started to do is I started to do the test drives whenever I could. So I drove almost every model of the Mustang, either it's a manual or automatic, either it had a leather seats or just cloth, or GTs, etc, etc. So that gave me the idea of what I'm looking for, and I understood that I definitely want automatic, I definitely want the premium package, because this calculator that you get with the cheaper models is just awful, it's unusable. So if you just want the power and you want to go for a GT, go and buy the cheaper version of GT. You will get the same engine, everything will work fine, but for the comfort of everyday drive is completely different. So this car was salvaged, it was damaged in United States, and then it was bought and someone took it to Ukraine and repaired it, and they didn't do a great job in that. So the car was not great, I would say, so I had to fix the initial things. However, because of that, I was able to buy it much cheaper. And you know, it's really a point of these cars. So the previous owner, they didn't really care about this car that much, so they did everything as cheap as possible. They didn't change the oils in time and all of that, so you was able to see that this car was struggling. And this is what you will see online with a lot of these cars. You will see that people say that car breaks, that something doesn't work, that MPG is bad, etc. A lot of people do not care about these cars. They just buy them, they want to use them hard, and they think that this car have to do that, or otherwise it's a bad car. It's not true. So you just have to take care of that. You just have to love it, and if you will love it, it will love you back. This is what I experienced. Honestly, at some point it was even absurd. So one time I've got a check engine, and she was just pissed on me on something. And what I did, I washed it, and it repaired itself. So this is how much love they want. I strongly believe in that. I know it's stupid, it's really stupid as I actually say that, but I believe it's true. When I bought this car, it looked nothing like that. I had to do a lot of things myself, so even when I just was in the process of buying that, when I was agreeing with the seller and the price, etc, etc, I already purchased covers for the taillights, so as you can see they're black, and I also purchased the spoiler on this thing. So I had them in my apartment even before I actually had the car. As soon as I bought it, I replaced the oils, I replaced the filters, I installed all of that. I've also applied some tint, and I've added the stripes, because without the stripes, I don't think Mustang is a Mustang, to be honest. So next thing, as soon as I bought it, I already knew about the problems that all of the Mustangs have. So the first thing you want to do is this small thing. This is fuel pressure sensor, I believe. So it goes off, and I had the same problem as all of the people say. That really affects your MPG, and you will see that as a check engine. So it will tell you that the pressure in the fuel system is bad, but it's just the sensor. So as soon as you replace it, it's fine. And this is for the Mustang 2015-16, I believe. Next thing is called air intake. So I've bought it a little bit later, but this thing changes the car dramatically. Because that's turbo, it has to breathe. You have to give it the air. And as you will check the stage 1, stage 2, etc., all of them are focused on giving this car more cold air. So it will offer you to change the intercooler, it will offer you to change some other things, and the CAI. Another thing it loves are better sparks. So I bought NGK Sparks, and because of that, the engine itself works much better. You will see a better consistency in work of your engine with the better sparks. From a smaller thing, I painted my ponies in black, so they look much better, I think, with that. From a distance, you don't even see that it's painted, you won't even see the ponies itself. So even from here, as you can see, it's really hard to see them. I really love that minimalistic style of the back, but I didn't want to replace it with a one smooth panel, so I just paint them black, and it's really cheap to do, and you can repaint them whenever you want. I applied some rubber paint, so I can just repaint them whenever I want to other color, or I can just peel it off if I want to. Another improvement that I found critical in this car is changing the suspension. So initially this car had about 80,000 miles on it, and no one changed the suspension, and it was in a bad condition, so the ride was really hard. I changed them with Koni Sports, the yellow ones, and I matched them with the springs, so I used SR blue springs that you can buy on American Muscle. These springs worked really great. They lowered my car a little bit, so I have this two-finger thing that you will want with these cars. And these are just painted, so I didn't change them to a better ones, these calibers, as you can see here. So the sound of that thing is just insane. I don't know, I'm owning that for 2 years and I still can't get used to that. So whenever I can actually like drive, you know, I always try to pull down my windows to hear the car better. The camera can just stand. And the last thing that I would say right now is a must-have with this car is the Cobb. So what it does is basically unlocks all of the potential of your car, because when they sell them, they're kind of locked, so no one will go crazy with them. This thing helps you to actually unlock the performance. Your acceleration will change dramatically with that, so you will actually start feeling the car. So after all of these changes, I was able to do 0-60 in about 6 seconds. I believe I have a screenshot somewhere of that. I will attach it here if I will be able to find it. So it started to behave really well. From the other features that this car has, and they actually sell this really well, is keyless entry, so you can just touch it and it will open. Start car from your key. Next you have the ventilated and heated front seats. You have parking camera and actually pretty big trunk. So I know that sounded more like a joke, but the back seats actually fold down. So when you fold them, and sorry for all the mess, when you actually fold them, I was able to use this car to move between 2 apartments, and I actually was able to fit a whole Christmas tree back in this trunk. So as I mentioned, I took several road trips in this car with my wife through around Europe and through Ukraine, etc. So I spent a lot of time with this car on the road. And it's so comfortable when you actually have to do a long drive. With the Ecoboost compared to GT, the sound is not an invading your brain or whatever, so it's just fine driving that. Quick look into MPG. So through the last 8,500 miles, it stays around 16. So while I know it's not great, I'm pretty happy with these results, and after all of the modifications, it was pretty expectable. And as I mentioned again, I'm not driving it daily. So for me, it's fine. I usually have to tank it like 3 times per month or something there. So the average cost is about $200, I would say, in fuel. While this was an average, as you can see, I had a trip to Czech Republic and overall I drove about 1,400 miles with the average MPG of 18. So on the highway, it does better. Also, this car gives you the ticket into kind of the lower street racing, I would say. So you can meet new people who have the similar ideas and hobbies as you do. If you want to buy this car to get girls, I'm not sure it's going to work. The only looks I've got were 8 to 14 years old boys who were really excited about this car, so I'm not sure. So don't actually count on that, I would say. So now let's go to the problems of the car. So it had the check engine several times for me. As I mentioned, one of them I was able to fix just by washing her. Then this is just kidding. One of the problems I had is that after a quick race, so I took part in one of the race in Ukraine and Kiev, I've received a check engine and the revolution of the car started to jump. I thought it's something off with the engine. After a quick check, I found out that it was just a spark. So I've bought new sparks back then, and one of the sparks actually broke. So here is a quick video of what it did. And if that thing would fall in my engine, it would just destroy it. So it was a really easy fix. I just replaced it with the different spark, but this was another one of the check engines. The thing I mentioned in the very beginning is the fuel pressure sensors. So you want to check that and replace that if needed. So I think that's it. I don't think I had anything else with the car. Okay, so I forgot about 2 other things as I was editing that. So one of the problems was EVAP, as it's called. Here it is. I'll put an error here. It's P0456. So basically there's a small membrana. So there's a small thing that can just break. So you buy that, or I believe you can buy just this part as well. So you don't have to replace the whole thing. And this is the old one. So replaced one. Looks a little bit different, as I remember it had something green in here. So you just replace it. It costed me about $60. I will check if I will be able to find a price, but it's really easy fix. It's under the engine bay and it's under the cover. So once you will pull it off, it's really easy to to replace that seat. The fix was so easy that I even forgot about that. And another one is pretty recent. This is AC actuator, as it's called. So it uses the plastic gears that open the AC, as I understand it. And these plastic gears, they just have tendency to break, so they are just weak. So you buy that and replace it as well. So the cost was about $25, and you can do it yourself as well. So now, after these 2 additional fixes, I believe that's all of the problems that I had with the car. So back to the video. So now let's go to the final question. Was that a good purchase? As you understood from all of my video, it was. So I'm really happy with every single bit of this car. Ask your questions in the comment below, I'll try to reply to all of them. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked it, please subscribe, it's really helped me a lot. Have a great day, bye.